Well, that was Ayar Siddique, presiding speaker in Parliament, announcing the result of no confidence in Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan's leadership. Now, the vote was held after opposition parties brought a motion against him following days of drama, and the motion was first brought last week. But the former cricket star blocked it by dissolving Parliament. Now, last night's vote took place after the country's Supreme Court ruled in favour of opposition parties and said that Mr. Khan had acted unconstitutionally. Now, joining me on the line now to discuss this further is broadcaster and chief executive of the Ramadhan Foundation, Mohammed Shafiq. Good evening, Mohammed. Welcome to the show. Now, look, it's been a very long 24 hours, hasn't it? What do you make of what's happened in the last 24 hours?
I think it's a very dark day in Pakistani politics. The democratically elected Prime Minister removed from office, not as the result of the ballot box by the people of the country, but at the hands of backroom dealing in smoke-filled rooms. And I think it just shows you once again how a political system that is designed to not have politicians accountable is in a country where we see what's happening over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, and it was yeah.
So I was just going to say, you can certainly criticise aspects of his policies and his record in government. I've often done that, but I think the central principle is he's been a towering figure, not just for Pakistan, but he's been a towering figure across the world, and he's brought respect back to the office of Prime Minister, and that will be deeply missed.
Respect and also a lot of investment kind of back in Pakistan. For example, the Roshan digital kind of accounts where a lot of overseas Pakistanis have been investing in Pakistan because they see that as a real viable, credible, kind of alternative. So, he's brought that into Pakistan, and that's big. That's massive that people actually want to invest in Pakistan.
Yeah, massive. A massive amount of British citizens who've got family links to the country went back to invest in the country. You mentioned the Roshni bank accounts, but he actually invested in something called the Sehat card, which was an NHS type card of £1 million rupees for free treatment for all citizens. And so, as I said, there will be policy areas where you could disagree with him. But I think what it just shows you, Fazana, is that it is a corrupt system that is run by politicians who move from party to party, and I think that's been his biggest downfall. He's had to rely on these smaller parties who obviously, jump from time to time from one party to other. We call it, it's the equivalent word in Urdu, which is called lota, which is like a jug that you wash your backside with. I mean, these are the people who move from one party to another, have no principles. And that's what happened yesterday, and it's a sad moment for Pakistan democracy.
In terms of the reaction to this, I mean, Twitter was on fire yesterday, both in Pakistan, but also amongst the diaspora communities here in England as well. Were you surprised by the strength of kind of feeling and emotion from those communities in England?
I'm a British citizen. I'm born in this country, and my love for Pakistan is there because, like so many people around the world, because of our links to our parents. But I just felt he brought some dignity and respect and pride. When he talked about Pakistan, you felt pride that he was the leader of the country. And the way he was, taken down in the way that he was, has upset a lot of people. My Twitter feed has been absolutely crazy, up to 11,000 people liking my tweets, because they're out there amongst the public. There's real anger that a democratically elected Prime Minister has been removed office, just because of horse trading, and just because, and the other aspect is we are suffering from the cost of living crisis in this country, as are all countries. Every country is facing that, and the coronavirus. And I think history will judge him more kindly than possibly other people will do at the moment.
Yeah. And then, in terms of Imran Khan's reaction, he did put out something on Twitter, several hours ago, just kind of pointing towards kind of like a foreign conspiracy of regime change as well. What now for Imran Khan? I think it's a very difficult position for him now, isn't it?
Well, I think 3 years ago, people would laugh at the idea that Imran Khan would be Prime Minister of Pakistan. He's been in power for 3 years and 8 months, I think. For phenomenal achievement to get to office. But actually, I think he's grown, he's matured, and he's going to go out to the country. Certainly, lots more rallies. He's just announced his first big rally in Peshawar, which is happening next Wednesday. Sorry. So actually, if you look around, the future is going to be very bright for him in terms of a political movement because the people actually support him.
And when do you think the elections will be?
Well, I think you've got 12 or 14 political parties on the other side who are now going to engineer, this coup and replace Prime Minister Imran Khan with, their own positions. It's difficult keeping two parties together, never mind 12 parties. And so I don't anticipate it will last very long. I suspect we'll get elections this year and then the people will decide.
Yeah. And I mean, moving forward, in terms of this significant, and it is a significant kind of impact, how do you think, how is this going to play on Pakistan, both kind of like locally within Pakistan and also on a global scale as well?
Well, I think Pakistan's, Imran Khan's attempt to have an independent foreign policy dictated not by the interest of other countries like the United States or Britain or other Western nations or even China on that matter, but to have an independent foreign policy with Pakistan at his heart. That was what he was trying to achieve. And obviously, that's obviously rubbed up some people the wrong way. And we've seen the consequences of that. So I think globally, again, he brought prestige to that office, and a lot of respect. And for me, the standout achievement that he made for Zana was he put Islamophobia on the international map. The International Day for the Elimination of Islamophobia, which is going to be commemorated every year, that was voted through the United Nations this year under his leadership. And so I think, Muslims around the world will be grateful for his leadership. And look, as I said on Twitter yesterday, it's not the end of the story. It's the end of this chapter. I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I speak from experience. 2019, I took my mother to Pakistan. It was our first trip there after many, many, many years. It was just eye-opening, just in terms of all the checks that you needed to do just to open up a simple bank account. So there was an awful lot that had been done to kind of eradicate, any corruption, any kind of, laundering. And you could really see that. You could really see the improvements that have been made in Pakistan.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Imran Khan lived in the UK for many years, so he was an overseas Pakistani in that sense. And so he knew and appreciated what people were experiencing and when they were going over, having those problems. Lots of stuff has been digitalized, the new passport being launched this year. So there's lots of good things that he has done. If the next government continues that digital revolution, then Pakistan is on a good, strong path. I've had the opportunity to interview him several times over the years. I always found him to be very gracious and very committed, and somebody who had a vision. He's a visionary, and hopefully he'll be able to hit the streets and let the people decide, because that's what real democracy is, Rosanna. I think the reason why people are so angry with yesterday, one, it's Ramadan and the month of fasting, and that these shenanigans, political horse trading is going on in the holy month. And then secondly, that this is a man who's brought prestige back to the office of Prime Minister, and people are not looking for that. So it's a very sad day. And in the end, democracy is about the people. If the opposition is so confident in their ability to win the next election, then call an election now. And let's see who will win.
Yeah, and the irony of the situation, Bilal Bhutto, of course, son of Benazir Bhutto, when he mentioned Purana Pakistan, old Pakistan, I mean, the irony was, he didn't understand the irony. The rest of us did understand the irony of that comment. We're back to like Purana Pakistan. We're back to old Pakistan, which is what we don't want. We don't want that old Pakistan, do we? Yeah,
I think that was not a slip of the tongue. I think that was a clear indication to the international community that the old order of corruption and horse trading, scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, has been restored. People are fed up of dynasty politics in Pakistan, that the two families have the God-given right to rule the country, whether it's the Bhuttos or the Sharifs. And he broke that. And it took 12 or 13 parties to come together who were at each other's throats all the time.
Yeah. Now, lastly, what would you say? I mean, I've seen a couple of tweets and things, from Pakistanis who are actually, kind of living in Pakistan, who are kind of almost like pointing the finger to overseas Pakistanis, just kind of like saying, well, you know what, mind your own business. You don't really know what it's like within the country. What do you say to those Pakistanis?
So I would say that I love that country. because of my ethnic origin and of the fact that it's the land of my forefathers, and that's where we came from. And we all overseas Pakistanis want the best for that country. And we've got as much interest in that country's success as the people living there. But actually, now it's time for those people to stand up and to be counted, and to come out in huge numbers and get Imran Khan the majority that he needs so that he can come back to office.
Brilliant. Well, Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll be speaking to you later on, in the coming months. Take care, and Dil Dil Pakistan. Thanks very much. Now.